and welcome back to some more Gran Turismo 5. Today we're continuing on Let's Play. This is episode 15. In today's episode we are taking a look at the license tests once again with the International C license, the middle child of the license test structure. We begin in a familiar place with a stopping challenge, the 1000 meter stopping challenge. Again, this has us accelerating and then stopping this time in the very lovely Aston Martin DB9 Coupe. And much like the usual stopping trial stuff, this is just trial and error. Do it a couple of times, figure out where your braking point is, and then once you've figured out where that is, you can stop there and hopefully get a gold, sorry, not a goal. Yeah, there's not too much to these ones as you would expect. Yeah, it's a stopping challenge. These have been in every single Gran Turismo game. I have no idea why they're as spread out as they are in this game, to be fair. That was almost a gold. Interesting. But yeah, I've got no idea why they're as spread out as they are in this game, when in every other Gran Turismo game it was just you did one, then you did the other, then you did the other, and then you did the final one. In this game, for some reason, you got to do this 4 times over 4 different license sets. No idea why, but then again, Gran Turismo 5's license tests aren't particularly useful for learning too much when it comes to driving. For example, hard braking and exiting corner after a downhill straight. This is something you're not really going to have to learn, because let's be honest, how many tracks have a hard braking and exiting corner after a downhill straight? Anyways, for this one, simply ignore the driving line. It's Deep Forest Raceway. We've been over this before, I think. Deep Forest is just a track where you ignore where that braking line is, because it wants you to take way too shallow a line into the corner, when it makes more sense to be sort of middlingly wide, so you can curve around and get a decent amount of exit speed. So yeah, I have no idea why the braking line is the way it is on this corner, but there you go. Next up, taking a tight double hairpin. This one is difficult and not fun. First of all, this particular part of the Indianapolis track is just awful. I don't know if this is how it was in real life. It's a lot more narrow than it's been in any other game I've seen Indianapolis in, so I've got no idea if this was an actual part of the track at one point. And it doesn't help that the 370Z they give you is quite a heavy car, which means it doesn't really shift around all that well. Yeah, getting a gold on this one, I mean 18.3, I've got no idea how you'd accomplish that, but yeah, not particularly much fun is how I would probably rate that one. Not great. Next up, we are going to be going to the 4th license test, which is early braking while driving downhill on dirt. Incredible. This one gives you an Evo and it's a dirt test, so as you would imagine, it is very easy, even if you do drive it a bit like an idiot. That's not true for all the dirt tests in this game, as you'll see coming up in the next few license test episodes. You know, sometimes if you do drive like a complete idiot, you end up with silver. But in this case, I managed to drive like a complete numpty and still got gold by, I think it was like a second and a half. This one is just ridiculously easy for some reason. Oh, it wasn't quite a second and a half, but still, I mean, half a second. And you saw how badly I took that corner there. Yeah, the dirt tests in this game, and indeed, historically, in every Gran Turismo, have been awful. It's why I'm slightly sad they never brought back the rally tests from Gran Turismo 3, it would have been, because the rally test was something interesting. Anyways, next up, high speed cornering on the Rome City circuit. It's easy to gold, I just didn't do it, basically. The key to this one is just figuring out how much speed you could take through this particular corner. It's actually quite a fun little corner. But as you can see, I really didn't put enough speed into it, because you're supposed to get really onto that curb to take it around, and it's a lot of fun. I didn't quite manage to do it, but yeah, I can imagine that one is very easy to gold. And the Rome circuit in this game, it gets a lot of flack. You know, obviously it's not as good as the classic Rome circuit in Gran Turismo, but I actually quite like it a fair bit. One of my favourite city courses in the game. Next up, blind corners in wooded areas. This is an interesting one. Essentially, your goal for this one is to send it, but send it cautiously. Essentially, you just want to try and take a smoother line as possible and try and stay as tight to where I was there in order to minimize the run up to the finish line on this one. Again, I wasn't too far off, but when you're dealing with, like for example, that goal time 11.2, it is quite difficult to make up time there because it is just such a short amount of time. Next up, consecutive corners with differing bank angles on dirt. They were really running out of ideas for license tests here. Anyways, I drove this awfully. If you was to do it, you'd be able to get a gold very, very easily, but I did not drive this one particularly great, which is weird considering Toscana's a dirt course which I have a decent amount of experience on. I'm usually pretty darn good when it comes to Toscana, but I was a bit delayed on my throttle inputs and so on. In fairness, probably one of the harder dirt tests in this game, but I mean, I'm not going to excuse the fact that I didn't drive it particularly well, so there you go. Anyways, on to the next test, which is traversing Monza's Lesmo corner. This one's actually relatively easy, and you get to drive the lovely Alfa Romeo Brera Sky Window, which is a fantastic way of saying panoramic roof. Anyways, this is the two eastern corners of Monza, which are corners which I have a lot of bad experience with, having done the Sebastian Vettel X Challenge recently on this game. But anyways, these corners in a car like this isn't too bad. For some reason I decided to just ping it off the limiter. It's probably quite easy to get a gold on this one. I just managed to completely cock it up. Don't brake too hard for this corner here. It's not quite as harsh a corner as you may think. Amazingly, that was a silver. I don't know how. Maybe this game just isn't particularly, or maybe that particular license test isn't very stringent on its timings, but yeah, that definitely feels like it was more of a bronze run considering how long I spent in second gear. But there you go. Next up, using late braking to overtake. Finally, a useful skill to learn in these license tests. It's only taken 9 tests in this particular one. This is one where you have to overtake the AI, and as you'd expect from this type of test, it's very easy. You get a Corvette, which makes absolute mincemeat of those first 2 cars, and then the Viper, just get him on the brakes heading into the sort of tight hairpin section of where they ruined Fuji. Again, pretty straightforward. The Corvette is a very, very quick car, quicker than the lead Viper. So, being able to jump these cars isn't much of an ask, really, which is nice. So, I like those tests. I actually think they're, you know, despite being the easiest, so obviously I might be biased here, but learning how to overtake is probably the most useful skill you can learn in this game, outside of, you know, I mean, corner taking techniques and stuff. Most players already know how to take corners. Anyways, the final test is your usual 2-lap challenge or 1-lap battle, whatever it may be. Well, this case it's the 2-lap challenge, which starts a new precedent as these turn from 1-lap battles to 2-lap challenges. One more lap to cock it up. Anyways, this one is the Rome City Course 2-lap challenge, Ferrari 512 BB. The Ferrari makes this one a lot more difficult than it should be because this is a very old car with very leany suspension and very old tyres, and none of that particularly goes together very well. Your biggest issue in this 2-lap battle, indeed the 2-lap battle in the next episode, is the lead car for this is actually about as quick as you are, or in this case lead cars. Lamborghini Countach's lead the front pack, and I'm almost certain the Countach is quicker than the Ferrari 512BB, so it's basically a case of using, just basically trying to take as much corner speed. It becomes a time trial, really, let's put it that way, because the first sort of 9 cars you could dispatch, I mean, you saw in the first corner, I basically got past several by, you know, the end of that straight, I was past all of them. So catching these Countach's is a little bit more of your priority. Try and make up as much ground as you can on the first lap so you can go maximum attack, maybe end up in the slipstream of one of them heading on to your final lap. And that's essentially the way we want to play this. Silver is very easy on this, as you can see, but obviously when it comes to these sort of lap battles and lap challenges, I do like going for the gold because it's fun. So we have the 1988 Countach in front of us there, which again I'm almost certain would absolutely mincemeat this poor old 512BB. and then the lead car is the 74 Countach, which maybe it wouldn't, considering that car's in front. I guess the 74 would be lighter, but you'd think the 88 would have a lot more power. Either way, I'm essentially going to slit in his slipstream on the straights, and I'm going to try and get him through the corners using my superior wheel knowledge over the AIs to try and jump them. I'm being a bit cautious into this section here, purely because I don't want to bump the wall. I do manage to get him though just before heading into these corners. In fairness, if you can do on the straight, that's the best way to do it. If you can't, then into this corner right here does present a pretty good passing opportunity, although you do have to be very cautious because it's very easy to overcook it into that corner, and Countach would just sail right on by. But fortunately, this time round, everything went my way, and we crossed the line and we was fine. So there you go, 2-lap battle, gold. I like these. I really wish someone would, I don't know, make an entire license dedicated to all these 1-lap or 2-lap challenges, whatever they may be. You know, maybe we'll get that. Who knows? We'll see. Anyways, that's the International C license over and done with, and hooray for that, because these licenses are not very fun to commentate over, I'll be perfectly honest, especially considering I'm not going with gold, so I can't help you.
Congratulations, you've completed the International C license. Now you can enter more races and prepare yourself for the next challenge, the International B license.
And prepare myself for the International B license I shall, because that's what's coming in the next episode. But first, prize cars. We get the Acura DNX concept car and the ASL Garaya, two very cool Asian concept cars for completing this license, which is good fun. Unfortunately, my Garaya is in a very uninteresting silver, but that doesn't really matter. Anyways, here is the DNX, which you also know as the Honda Dual Note. For some reason, it gives you the Acura version in this game. I guess it was just feeling like it needed to showcase the Acura a little bit. Who knows? Anyways, as we head into our garage, the DNX is the bronze prize, and it is an incredibly good bronze prize. As you can see, 524 PP points, all-wheel drive. This will make an excellent car in the first stages of the game. You can beat a hell of a lot of events with this car, and it's just a really... It looks cool, and it's all around a really good, strong vehicle. The Autobax ASL Garaya, also pretty good car, mid-engined rear-wheel drive, very lightweight, chuckable, maybe not the easiest thing to drive, and it certainly is a bit challenging looking, but on the whole, it is a pretty cool car. Anyways, that is it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Next time, we're going to be taking a look at the International B license, so join us for that. Until then, farewell.
Yes, I will stay here for a while, for I need the break. A break from the bruises of life and everything that lay in the ball.